Hello, I am Dr. Carolyn Eaton, and this week in medicine, I am doing my second segment on obesity. Now, obesity has become an increasingly large problem in the United States. About 42.4% of all American adults are now in the obese category, and that's according to the 2018 CDC data. Another 31% are overweight. So basically 73% of Americans are either overweight or obese, definitely leaving normal weight individuals in the severe minority. Now, why is this such an important thing? As I said before, it's not just about being big. It's about risk factors for other much more severe diseases, and especially diabetes. Even being a little bit overweight, body mass index 26 to 27, it causes a 5 times increased risk of developing diabetes. And diabetes risk increases according to weight. People who are morbidly obese get to that point where they are up to as much as 60 times more likely to develop diabetes. And diabetes is associated with severe renal disease, kidney disease, causing kidney dialysis. It causes blindness. It causes heart disease, strokes. It causes people to lose their limbs. And the other thing it causes on a day-to-day basis is something called peripheral neuropathy. And that's actually the most distressing problem for a lot of people with diabetes, is that sense of their feet always being on fire. It's a kind of pain that is persistent and there and affects sleep and affects everything else. And there's not a lot we can do to treat it. There are some medications that help, but nothing can cure it and nothing really treats it. So the main way to treat it is don't become diabetic in the first place. And the way to do that is really work on keeping the weight down and developing healthier habits that reduce the risk of becoming diabetic. Now, the first thing you want to do is really start paying attention to your day-to-day habits. The best thing to do with that is actually keeping a food diary for a couple of weeks. And you need to try to keep the diary at the time you're doing everything, because at the end of the day, you tend to forget, that leftover part bag of chips that your kids left, or the half sandwich you ate in the car, or those little bits here and there and here and there, and you forget about those and you don't count them in, and you think, oh, I'm only getting in 1,500 calories a day, when really you might be getting in 2,000 or more. An average metabolism for most women is about 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day, and men up to about 2,500 calories a day would be the average metabolic rate. And most of us do have normal metabolisms. And we kind of think, oh, I'm gaining weight because I have a slow metabolism. But even people who feel that, when they actually study metabolisms, most of the time really do have a normal metabolisms. It's these excess calories here and there and little bits and drabs that really add up. For that matter, only an extra 100 calories a day is about 3,000 calories in a month, which is an extra pound, which in less than a year is a 10-pound weight gain. So really paying attention to where your calories are coming from is important, and not just what you're eating, what you're drinking, which is something I talked about last time with the sodas and the fruit drinks and all these things with added sugars in them. So your best way to drink is making sure you're just getting in water, self-sweetened tea, or coffee that, again, either self-sweetened or put like a slightly sweetened milk product in, like soy, like vanilla soy milk or something like that. That's actually what I drink. I drink a lot of coffee with soy milk. And paying attention to that. The other thing you need to pay attention to is your activity level. And there are activity trackers every which way from Sunday these days. You probably have one on your phone built into your phone, an app that's already been added. I know my iPhone had one already built in. Also, there are a lot of free ones you can download from the app stores that can also be helpful for keeping track of activity. Now, if you're a person who likes to swim instead of walk, a good way to keep track of that activity is something like a Fitbit. And those Fitbits then can keep track of even swimming and biking and other types of activities as well, so you can get a really better idea what your activity level is. Because if you're sedentary, and sedentary is less than 5,000 steps a day, that, along with the obesity, greatly increases risk of early death. For that matter, people who are obese, in a large study in the UK, done from 1998 to 2016, they found that even if you kick out the people with diabetes or the chronic diseases, the risk of obesity alone, it shortens people's lives by about 4.5 years for men and about 3.5 years for women. So the obesity alone is a risk factor for premature death. And then you add in the diabetes risks, you're really amplifying that risk of early death. Unfortunately, these days, because about 40% of people in the 20 to 39 age group are obese already, we're seeing very young people become diabetic, and we're seeing those end-stage diabetic problems in people in their late 30s and early 40s, and it's just completely preventable. And the way to prevent it is to be a healthy person. And one of my mantras is the only way to be a healthy person is to be a healthy person. And a lot of people don't think about that they're not being healthy. Oh, I have a salad sometimes, or I have this. But you have to make these choices day to day. I'm not saying you can't have, ice cream sometimes or pizza sometimes. It just can't be something you eat, these processed things, every single day. Because it's when you're eating these highly processed foods and highly processed grains and lots of sugars, because they're cheap and they're convenient and you're always in a hurry and everybody's stressed. And when you're eating that way, unfortunately, you're really causing yourself a lot of long-term harm. And the only way to not do that is to start making those choices that are better. And you start making those choices today. You want to start doing things in a healthy way as soon as you can, and making small changes initially, and then build on those changes. So you make a small change, in 2 or 3 months you make another small change, in 2 or 3 months you make another small change. We're not talking about something that we want you to do overnight. We want you to do this over time, because slow, steady weight loss is much easier to maintain and is less likely to have a negative effect on your metabolism. People who did the Biggest Loser show for several years, they followed these people, and what they'd found was that even though all their dietary training and their exercise training, almost all of them gained all of their weight back after the end of the show, typically within 1 to 2 years. And these were people that lost well over 100 pounds. And what they'd found when they actually studied their metabolism is that rapid, intense weight loss actually slowed their metabolism down very dramatically. And it's something that then caused them to have a very difficult time maintaining, because a lot of them went down from being normal metabolisms of 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day to having metabolisms only 1,300 to 1,400 calories a day. And that's very difficult to maintain that kind of calorie restriction and be active and feel normal and healthy. So we want to make sure you make these changes on a gradual basis, because the weight did not come onto your body overnight. It's not going to come off your body overnight. It's probably going to take you, if you're already in the obese category, if you're right at that 30-31 BMI, it'll probably take you a year to year and a half to get yourself back down to a normal weight. We don't want you to lose more than 3 to 5 pounds per month. People who tend to have more rapid weight loss also are more likely to lose more muscle mass weight than people who do slow weight loss. And that muscle mass weight is part of what helps maintain your metabolism. So slow weight loss is definitely better. So what kind of things are you going to do? What things do you need to do to help yourself get that weight down and be where you need to be? Well, one of the first ways is changing the eating habits to incorporate more of what we call a Mediterranean style diet. A Mediterranean diet is basically the way the Greeks eat. This is foods, lots and lots of vegetables. You can have some cheese, yogurt, a little bit of meat, fish, and lots of nuts and beans and legumes and true whole grains. Not the brown bread in the grocery store, but the kind of bread that has all the nuts and twigs in it. We're talking like rye bread and pumpernickel bread. The kind of bread where you can see the nuts and twigs, and that if you pull out the middle section and squish it, it actually doesn't stay in a little hard ball. It actually will expand back out. If you squish it, it stays in a little hard ball. There's no fiber in that. And the plus about eating a diet that's richer in fiber is that it typically helps you stay more full and helps your bowels move more regularly, which is great. In addition to that, eating a Mediterranean style diet, and there's tons and tons of research out there. I'll try to put a link up at the top of this for the Mediterranean diet to make sure that you can have all the great information on it, and I'll give you a good base of information so you can work your way forward with the changes. It also reduces the risk of developing Alzheimer's, heart disease. I mean, even if people who are overweight or heavy that eat this have lower rates of heart disease. So it's really beneficial for that. Lower rates of Alzheimer's, lower rates of colon cancer. It is a really beneficial diet to be on. The weight loss will be slow, and that's okay. We want it to be slow. The other thing you need to start doing, as I said, is start tracking your activity and really work to add that activity in. If you find that you're in that sedentary behavior category where you're getting less than 5,000 steps a day, start working to incorporate more steps. Or more swimming, or more biking, or something to make yourself more active through the day. And just gradually add it in. Add in about 5 minutes a day the first week, and then add another 5 minutes and another, till you get to the point where you're making sure you're exercising a minimum of 30 to 60 minutes a day. And yes, I do make sure I exercise a minimum of 30 minutes a day. I am very much in a practice what I preach category. And by making these changes, it will help you be a healthier person. As I said earlier, the only way to be a healthy person is to be a healthy person. So let's make some changes. Let's start changing that curve. So instead of continuing seeing more and more Americans in the obese category, we'll start seeing less and less, and a lot fewer diabetics, which is definitely one of the goals for this talk. And I will talk more about diabetes in a future discussion. Next week, I'm actually going to be talking about the sense of smell, probably our most underappreciated sense. Thank you for your time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great week.